the screaming memes of the Second World War, where it is just a lot of fuel and an explosive round that will explode on impact.
Let's dive into the specifics of the Gaza Strip. So, as I understand, I guess maybe it's better to just throw it to you guys. What is the story with the Gaza Strip being called an open air prison? What exactly is it? How did it come to be?
They call it a bunch of things. The land was not as occupied as it is now by Jews. Not saying that's an excuse or anything. Between the West Bank and Gaza, there's about 700, almost 800,000 Palestinians, and that's a mixture of Christians and Muslims. Majority Muslims. I think about 1% is actually Christian. Our women.
You don't worry about the comments, all right? You're giving us a great knowledge here. Melted My Meaning said you a baddie. See, the crowd is loving it. The crowd is loving it, but not just for what they are seeing, what they are hearing. What is it that you were saying?
So, I mean, it is horrible that we took people from their ancestral homes and we moved them somewhere that they did not want to be. But that's not the fault of Israel. That's the fault of the UN, who created this situation. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, they were the ones that drew these borders. Like, they could have given them far more land. This was a problem from 80 years ago. And that's why a two-state solution should exist, but you have to choose what side of the country. It can't be both. We can't do both, man. That's
so before we get there, though, so we were talking about again specifically the Gaza Strip. What was the circumstances?
I call them the ghetto, basically.
The largest open air prison. Why is it being called that? And one of those reasons is simply for security. There was a lot of smuggling that was coming in. Hamas has a habit of smuggling in rockets. And these are not intelligent rockets. These are fire and forget rockets who are on a set trajectory that will go on. These are equivalent to anyone who's a weapon expert in your chat. The screaming memes of the Second World War, where it is just a lot of fuel and an explosive round that will explode on impact. So one of the reasons that was for security there, and that is one of the kind of points of contention where it is very hard for anyone to leave Palestine without any kind of passport, without being kind of having a citizenship and papers to go through there. And this is where you will get a lot of the
because the one side of Gaza is water. It's the coast.
Well, that's the West Bank.
Because the maps.
So the West Bank is on the coast. Gaza, I believe, is landlocked. Last time I checked.
I reversed it. I'm sorry. No, they both have a body of water next to them, I believe.
Pull this up. I actually flipped that around because the West Bank actually has a map to the sea. It is the Gaza Strip that actually has the access to the waterway. And please forgive me, like I was shooting from the hip there, but this is also where you also get the chant from the river to the sea. And this is basically, saying take over all of Israel and, give it back to Palestine. And that is, tangentially endorsing genocide, a full removal of the Jewish people.
Gotcha. And so then we get to this idea of a two-state solution. What exactly? I mean, obviously, it's in the name, two states. But what would the logistics? How would that work out? And why hasn't it? Because that's something that I've heard since before I was like when I was learning about this in like middle school and stuff. I heard about the two-state solution, and doesn't seem like there's any solution.
Well, and see, this is kind of the reason why I could be mistaken, but I believe, using the term apartheid really doesn't fit here because they do have their own functioning government in those areas for the most part. So it's no one keeping them out of political office, based off their race. But it is one of the issues where if we fully have them be their own country, that's an own airport, that's allowing, more people to stage within the area, and which could lead to more extremists coming in from other nations to really cause trouble within Israel. At least that's my shooting from the hip kind of view on this. Why Israel does control it so much, because they almost have a opposition force within their borders. So it is one of those things where the open air prison thing is a horrible thing, but I do believe there is a major failing on the Islamic states around there who are not willing to take these people in, because again, most of these people are refugees. You have Islamic states all around. You have Jordan, you have Syria, you have Egypt, you have all these other nations that
Saudi Arabia.
possibly, yeah, who could take in these people and give them a Iran. Iran is the
All right,
local
Xander.
power in the area.
Interesting. So we have a question here from Xander Crew, the sponsor of the stream, who I forgot to put in the banner, but now has been perfectly erected. Says, Jergalani, do you believe if Jews were to give up the land and go elsewhere, hypothetically, would they still be hunted down by Muslims for being Jewish, even if not in that land anymore?
So I'm part of a Discord, and there's this one guy who lives in Morocco, and he's been sold this like horror story of what Jews do to Muslims and how they want to eradicate them from the earth. And it's not true. They don't want to eradicate Muslims from the earth. They needed a place to live, and now they need to defend that land. And obviously after World War II, they were very defensive of anywhere they lived. So, I mean, I think that if they were to move anywhere, especially in the Middle East, I think whatever prime minister or Netanyahu currently would definitely have a fastball on his head. I mean, there would definitely be ramifications to moving them. Yes.
Because I mean, it is a good question, because a lot of it comes down to the idea that they're right here, or that's the Holy Land. And so that's very interesting of how much danger would specifically the civilians be in if they weren't right there.
Well, that's the fucked up part. There's no civilians. There are 0 civilians in Israel. Every single person who lives there is required by law to join the military.
But what about children?
Yeah,
children are the only civilians technically that live in Israel.
Well, and just in general, just like innocent people. Somebody said, if that were true, why would they send warnings before firing?
Who?
The Jews. The Jews typically do signal that get out of the area. We are about to bomb this area. Hamas does have a doctrine of setting up their missile batteries in hospitals, in schools, in populated areas to make the Jews look so bad. But let's not say the Jews are completely blameless in there. There was Operation Summer Rain, which was a idea to cause, and again, I take this with a grain of salt. This is taken from a biased source, but the idea was to cause mass casualty events, to cause the people of Gaza to actually give up the people of Hamas. But take that with a grain of salt.
Okay, so I have
is capable of being civil, while the other side is used to a barbaric way of fighting, or. And this is a relatively new thing for them, though, like bombings and suicide bombings, and kind of the way that they've been fighting is like probably the last 20 or 30 years they've been fighting like this. It has not always been to this degree.
This drastic, right? Yeah. And I mean, again, we have there's no sign that anything is slowing down or doing anything but escalating. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed that clip, check out the full live stream link in the bio, and catch me live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. See you there.